Hi, everybody. My name is Rita Crompton. I am the president and CEO of Archimedes Offspring. And our topic today is, are you treating your invention like a child? And I always, laugh and tell people, you know, a, a good invention is like a child in a lot of ways. You conceive it, you nurture it, it sucks you dry. And until you throw it out, it's never going to grow up and be big and take care of you. And when the reality is, all right, when you first have that idea, you want to hang on to it. Not necessarily, yes and no. All right. So when we're looking at Archimedes Offspring, all right, as being your mentoring and funding mechanism, we help you understand when it's time to, really hold it close to your chest and when it's time to start getting out there. If a child, if you always keep it at home, it will never grow up and be big and be able to stand on its own 2 feet. And an invention is a lot the same way. At a certain point, it's got to be able to stand on its own 2 feet. So the first thing I run into when I'm helping inventors, get through the phases is that once they're patent pending, they've had an attorney file a provisional patent application, and they say, oh, but you should still have everybody sign an NDA. Find a new attorney. All right. Once they filed a provisional application for you, all right, it should be able to stand on its own 2 feet. If you're going to chase down everybody for an NDA, you're not going to get anywhere. One, it's going to make you crazy. And you know what? Big companies aren't going to sign it. They're just not going to. Patent pending means everything's been taken care of on that end of it. You don't need an NDA. Now, a work for hire agreement is different. All right, somebody who's being hired to help you create the prototype, do some engineering work, that's got to be covered with a work for hire agreement. I give these away free. All right, the NDAs, the non-competes, and the work for hire agreements, you can fill in your spots. The work for hire agreement is important because it helps you then set terms. They cannot read your mind. You cannot read their mind. Everybody needs to understand what's going on and expectations and deadlines. All right. If you're thinking, oh, they say, well, it won't take us very long. And for them, that means 8 weeks. And for you, it means 5 business days. If it had been in writing, you would have understood. All right. So you want to be able to get things in writing. You don't want to play guessing games with, trying to read somebody's mind. All right. Doesn't work out well for you in the end. The other thing is that, certainly the work for hire agreement that I give away has a non-disclosure in there. And it also has you are being hired to do this. Anything that you do and create or change in the mechanicals is owned by me. You may have to list that engineer as a co-inventor if they have made a material contribution. But you, in the work for hire agreement, you own it. That's important. All right, so we want to make sure that, you're covered. And certainly when you're part of AOS, we make sure you're covered. We make sure that when you're going out and talking to people that you've got the right documents, that you're asking the right questions. And certainly if it's one of our approved service providers, they already know that. They already are very much aware of, the criteria that we're looking at. And we're comfortable with them. Most of them I've worked with for many, many years. I've been doing this for 15 years. So I understand when it's time to let go. And the last thing you need to be trying to do is going to a trade show worried that somebody's going to steal it. All right. Do we let people walk by and take pictures? Can we stop them? No, we can't. I mean, it's hard, when, with cameras and everything. So we want to make sure that a good provisional patent has been filed. Legally, you could write it out on toilet paper and mail it in and have all the parts there. Is that the smart thing to do? No. All right. You could do it yourself. You can file pro se. Is that the smart thing to do? No, no, and big capital letters. No, no, and again, don't do it that way. All right. If you're putting all of your financial eggs into this basket, we want to make sure that you've done it the right way. So this is part of treating your invention like a child. All right. You want to nurture it. You want to protect it. All right. But at a certain point, it's got to grow up and you've got to be able to kind of get it out there. All right. They've got to go off to college at some point or move out. And until they get to the point where you're saying you need to move out. And this is where it's got to be covered. It's got to stand on its own 2 feet. That's just the way it is. So when we're looking at that, it means, the provisional patent has got all of the parts there. All right, it's going to have some claims, it's going to have some drawings. And what we're really looking for is that one thing is if someone infringes on you, and we've got to go back to that, it's got all the parts there to cover you. If you've got any questions about that, it is time to send me an email. Rita at Archimedes Offspring will do the trick. And you can certainly call the phone line. It's listed on archimedesoffspring.com. You can find out more about this. If you need a non-disclosure, non-compete, I will give it to you free of charge. If you need a work for hire, I will give you that free of charge. And if you need to know at what point can your invention stand on its own 2 feet, I am more than happy to answer your questions. If you filed a provisional application, sometimes we actually have you back up and start again with a registered patent attorney and somebody who's not going to just fill in the blanks on a darn form. That's another big no-no. Every patent, provisional patent application, utility patent is a work of art. It's its own unique piece. So you've got to have somebody that knows what they're doing. And it is not filling in a form, all right? Not a standardized form where you just fill in the blanks. And certainly not something where you go to a class. These guys spend a lot of money and a lot of time learning how to do this the right way. And when, it makes me so angry. It says, well, we're giving a class on how to file your own provisional. Stupid. Don't do that. It makes me angry. All right. So what we're looking for is a really good provisional patent application. Think about it like this. If a utility patent is going to run somewhere between 30 to 40 hours, all right, the big swing is the billable rate. All right, anywhere from $200 to $600 an hour is the billable rate. So that's your big variable that you multiply out. All right. So what we look at is a good utility patent is going to run somewhere around $8,000 if you're using, the $200 attorney. You want one, call me and ask me. And so what we're doing then is looking at the provisional patent application is really the front half of that. So it kind of helps with budgeting as well, where we're looking at the budgeting part as the first 15 hours or so, and then the other 15 to 20 hours is on the backside of that. So it helps, half now, half within the year. You're going to be able to have drawings in it then, 1 or 2 claims in it, good description in it. So you've got something that if someone infringes on you in that year, you've got something that you could actually take to court and say, this is mine. I filed everything correctly. This is why it's protected. You need to know that you've got a registered patent attorney advising you on this stuff. Right? And if you do it pro se, if you used a silly template, if you use one of those fly-by-night classes, all right, Archimedes will not accept your application. It is that simple. We are putting a lot of our financial eggs into your basket, and so are you. Do it the right way, all right? Don't cut corners on your intellectual property, all right? When we talk about are you treating your invention like a child, by all means, all right? Sometimes you hold it close, and then it's got to start growing up. So make sure that you're growing up the right way with all the right parameters. My name is Rita Crompton. I am the president and CEO of Archimedes Offspring. So when you've got a question, let me know.